Okay, so it's the last Sunday in May 2020. Are you ready for June? You must be ready. I mean, you must be ready because, see, we are going to go into June with a lot of positivity, with a lot of energy, with a lot of expectation, and with a lot of hope and faith in God that we are going to survive the month of June as well. Welcome to The Standpoint. Last week, you heard a story of two young ladies who were caught up in COVID-19. They came to Ghana to visit. Home, sweet home. And then they got caught up in mandatory quarantine. Funny enough, through the period and through that experience, they have decided to stay in Ghana to do something. But you know what? The positive stories are good, but there are certain things that are happening too when it comes to women and COVID-19 that are not too good. Today, we are going to look at the gender phase of COVID-19. Yes, you heard me right. This is the women's program. It's a standpoint. We are going to look at the gender phase or feminine phase of COVID-19. And I have the right people here to have that discussion. Let me say thank you to GTP for my cloth. This is a dipper and it comes in 12 yards. And the dress was made for me by Brie Redua, the one and only Brie Redua. Thank you so much. Makeup product by Maybelline New York and beautifully applied by Nax Beauty Studio. My hair, I always fix at Exotic Trends. We take a break. When we come back, we meet the country rep of UNFPA and the director for National Population Council. We'll be back. All right, welcome to The Standpoint. If you just joined us today, we are going to talk about the gender phase of COVID-19. It's here with us. We are living with it, and thank God we're still alive and we're still holding on to hope and faith that we'll sail through, and very soon we'll all be okay somehow. Sitting across me is Dr. Letitia Adelaide Appiah, who's Executive Director, National Population Council. Welcome to The Standpoint.
Thank you, Gifty.
I love your fugu.
Thank you.
And then next to her, I have Mr. Niyi Ojulape, Country Representative, United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, Ghana. Welcome to The Standpoint.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And thank you so much for, UNFPA is supporting us, you know, the Award and Soar Foundation and the Girl in Need Foundation with the Dignity Kit. Yes. And which was very interesting, what the items in the Dignity Kit. It had a sanitary towel, it had bathing soap, it had washing soap, toothpaste. What informed what you put in there? Because even the latest one that, you know, we had, the one in the white bag, had ladies' underwear in it.
Yeah. The idea is that UNFPA will look after the issues of women. So because of the gendered implications of everything that we do. So the Dignity Kit is a basic pack which maybe under emergency conditions or under humanitarian conditions, right, a lady will need to live and maintain her dignity. Just the basic one. Exactly. Let me just quickly allude to the fact that in support of the Ghana Health Service also, right, we have had to go to the isolation centers.
Okay.
And, you know, when they bring in people, right, sometimes it's an emergency, they didn't even realize. Right. So they don't come in there with anything. Right. So we've also gone there with our Dignity Kits. Yeah. Because it's a Dignity Kit that you expect that the person will use everything they need for 2 weeks. So right, we also bear that in mind and bring, but actually we call it welcome pack.
Welcome back.
Yes,
yeah.
for the isolation center. Yes.
You know, Dr. Letitia, I don't know if you've seen the pack. You know, I think I have one or two here. I can show it to you, but it made me emotional because everything in there was what I needed when I was in quarantine. Because when I got in there, when I got in here, I mean, when you're traveling, of course, first of all, I rushed back to Ghana, so I couldn't buy anything. So I had my dirty clothing and everything in there, even what to wear and everything. So you wake up and nobody's coming to clean your room. I didn't have soap to wash my things. I didn't have, enough soap to bath. The hotel soap is not, but so you had to, and they weren't allowing anybody to come visit. So you had to gradually, we got the health professionals to buy us these things. And I'm just thinking, if I had it when I was there, it would have made things a bit easier. That's what I found quite emotional and interesting about it. But thank you. Thank you. So I needed more, but I may do with what I had. Okay. Doug, what do you think is the gender angle in COVID-19?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ohene. From what you've just said, it shows that nothing is neutral, including a pandemic.
Right.
The effect on the population is not neutral. So you have to look at the age, you have to look at the sex, segregation, disability, and make sure that their needs are met. Right. And so the gender phase of COVID-19, which I think is very, very interesting, if you look at it, the front line everywhere are women. The front line in the home with lockdown is women who will be taking care of elderly women, old people in the homes, and children who are out of school. Right. If you come to the health facility,
which is driving some of us already. My grade is increasing by the day.
Well, and if
with a little one at home not going to school.
Exactly. So can you imagine if you have more than one people? Then it's a challenge, Right. And then if you go back to the health facilities, the frontline workers are also women. Community health workers are mainly women. Right. The nurses are women. Midwives are women. Right. And so COVID really has a gender perspective that we cannot gloss over. And women have to really come to the fore and be taken care of. Right. And what is happening? For instance, the school feeding. Right. We had people who were going to school so that they could have hot meals to eat. And now social distance in their home. Right. And who is going to suffer? The girl child is going to go down in favor of the boy child. Right. What about domestic violence that we always talk about? What about even women who were in employment and were working? Right. This can make them enter risky jobs, like even prostitution, because they still have to earn a living. And if they cannot go to work and end the living, in a more decent way. Right. And so the gender aspect, it's really broad and cross-cutting, and we really have to look at it and make sure and understand that nothing is neutral. Right. So the age, the sex segregation, disability, all has to be looked at in that context.
Do you agree to that?
Exactly. Let me thank you once more for instituting this discussion. And the real issue that you want to look at is this, is that during any pandemic or any of these issues like we have right now, there is always a gendered implication. Among men and women, because we live in a society where women are at a disadvantage in every way. And so you need to attack the pandemic bearing in mind that we already have a set of people that are at a disadvantage. And from what she has said, you can see that women are the ones doing the hard work. Yeah. But then, are they the ones getting the succor or comfort? Yeah. That is what any response to such a pandemic as this needs to bear in mind. Right. And because there is the mistake of looking at the entire pandemic from the health aspect alone. You can look at it to say how many people are sick, how many cases, how many positive cases do we have, and things like that. But you need to take it a bit beyond that. Right. What are the socio-economic implications of the pandemic? And women are the ones that are suffering, that are bearing the most brunt of the entire thing. And that's why it is essential that we do something that targets women particularly. And policymakers needs to bear in mind the essence of gendering, so to say, their policies and their responses to the because women are actually at the bottom of the ladder in everything. They are the ones who work at home. They are the ones who are in the office. They are the ones who are doing everything most. But then, so they need to be looked at.
Yeah. Even the health implications. Yeah. Because women will be the last to go to the hospital or to call for help because they feel that they have a responsibility. When I go to the hospital, when I'm taken into isolation or quarantine, what happens to my family? And so if you're not careful, we have less women reporting the cases because they feel responsibility to take care of the home.
Take care of the home, yes.
Exactly.
The people at home, you see, and this is unpaid work.
Exactly.
When you look at a typical home, that we're just on the average, it is the mother of the house or the big sister that looks after everybody. Yeah. Cooking, washing, cleaning, everything. And looking after the young ones, it's usually the woman who looks after that. Because if the children go to the father and say, go and meet your mama, go and meet your mother. So all of that is unpaid work. So a situation whereby the woman is going to end up in the hospital or in isolation, not being there. The woman already looks at the entire thing and tries not to go. Yeah. And then tries to avoid not going. And because of that situation, and of course that also deepens the situation and makes it worse, because then there can be more transmission and the entire nation will be at peril.
Doctor, you wanted to
say? And then also just buttressing what he said, even when the men come back from the hospitals, it's still the women who take care of them.
Exactly.
And even when we stigmatize
that was a point
the unfortunate ones, we stigmatize them, and so we're not happy to go to the facilities, and we stay at home sick. It's the women who will nurse the sick ones. Yeah. And so the stigma would also not even support anybody, and the women will still be on the front line and nursing the sick people in the hospital. I mean, even in the homes. Yeah. There's so many dimensions that we can talk about.
Yeah, and even with the stigma, it's the women who suffer most.
Exactly.
Now we've had cases of women who can't go to the market, whose children are being stoned and called names. The men may not bear that brand. There was a man who talked about he also being stigmatized, but then again he comes back to his wife and children being at the receiving end of the stigma.
Yeah. Yes. So that is the, so any end, the women who will suffer. Yeah. If the man is stigmatized or if the community is stigmatized and out of fear we can go to the hospital, it's the women who will nurse the sick people in their homes. Yeah. And then even when you are cured and you are stigmatized, it's your wife and children who will suffer. And if you cannot go to market and do social distancing, then it's the young girl who will probably be sent off as child marriage. At a very,
this thing is just age, more than,
So we really have to look at it. Right. When we had this crisis, yes, the government did very well, gave us food. Right. Because hunger cannot wait. Reproductive health services can't also wait. Hunger can't wait, reproductive health services can't also wait. Right. They're also very essential that we really need to look at, because we would solve the hunger that can't wait. And if we neglect the reproductive health services, that can't also wait. The consequences would also stare us in the face.
Yeah. Yes, all of these are the gender implications of the pandemic and any emergency or any humanitarian situation at any point in time. And all that we have talked about, they are in normal circumstances, civil, okay circumstances. Right. There is the negative implications, which you said we wanted to talk about. Yeah. Which is the fact that based on this pandemic, people are being encouraged to stay at home. Yeah. And as much as possible, people are not able to go to nightclubs anymore. Right. They're not able to go to these events anymore. Even a situation whereby people use that as excuses to leave home, to say, well, I'm attending an event. That is not there anymore. So men and women, too, they have to stay at home. Right. They have to stay together. And in situations whereby you normally have maybe domestic violence in a home, maybe because of the toxic nature of their relationships or what have you, maybe on the average, assuming they used to spend 8 to 10 hours together, and you have situations of domestic violence, you can imagine if that increases to about 18 hours. Meanwhile, the nature of the pandemic itself has entailed the fact that people will be stressed economically, materially, and even psychologically. So it's a vicious cycle, which women are most likely to suffer gender-based violence, sexual violence, intimate partner violence, and what have you. And
let me take a break and come back before you give me the statistics, because that is why I wanted us to look at that. Yeah. Because even when I was in quarantine, people were calling me and telling me about the abuse they're going through. Both young people from parents and then young ladies and then wives as well. Can you believe that somebody called me and said her husband said he's tired of seeing her face, so he doesn't want to see them and their children again. And that was killing her. She doesn't have anywhere to go. It just, I don't know if I gave her the best of advice anyway, but let me take a break. When we come back, we'll look at this because this is more serious. Somebody wanted, everything you want to put gender, even COVID too, you are going to talk about gender. Yes. Yes, unfortunately, everything negative, people put the gender face to it. HIV, they said, had, gender face, cancer and corona, unfortunately, even the name. So I call it Uncle Corona. Let me say thank you to our supporters. First of all, our sponsor, GTP, for sponsoring us. We say thank you to House of Food, Cake Technique, Juice Time, Gogot Yogurt, Awake Purified Mineral Water, and Royal Drinks by Casa Preco Company, Yacht Cleaning Services. Know that this program is aired every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on Joy Prime. And the same Sunday, we stream on our Facebook page, The Standpoint, at 8 p.m. It will also be on YouTube at 8 p.m. and also on our website, www.thestandpoint.com.gh. We take a break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to The Standpoint. We are looking at the gender face of COVID-19. Now, I was telling you earlier on about, the things that were in the dignity kit. And you understand why I said I got a bit emotional, because I was in quarantine and nobody was bringing me anything. But later on, I got it. So it had these ones, UNFPA, had a towel. It has sanitary, pad. It has underwear panties. Ladies' panties. It has 2 toilet rolls. It has a toothbrush, toothpaste. It has washing soap. It has bathing soap. Okay, and then it has sanitizer, hand sanitizer, and then face mask as well. So it's a complete kit that has everything. And everybody who got it, I distributed mine at Edumasa and Akwemufie, and of course we donated some to the Ghana Muslim Mission, which was joined to be given to the young, especially the young ladies there. And these were 2 bags. And then this is the other bag, which has almost the same thing, but it doesn't have, this one didn't have the panties in there, but it has Parazone as well, for cleaning the homes. I mean, it is really a real dignity pack, and we are grateful to that. Now, Doc, you were about to give us the statistics, when it comes to the domestic violence.
Actually, for us in Ghana, there is the issue of a collection of data. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at now, to see how we can rapidly generate data. But globally, what we have is that 243 million women, 243 million women suffer some forms of sexual and gender-based violence every day. Okay,
hold on. Not that the statistics are set now. I mean total, but every single day.
Just normally, on the average, 243 million. And you see, it means that for the women, and you see, gender-based violence is not just the physical violence.
Exactly.
Sometimes it is also verbal violence. Yes. You were telling us the story of somebody that got told that, okay, I don't want to see your face anymore.
I'm tired of seeing your face.
And because the implication is for the woman, she's unhappy, she's sad. So anything that makes the woman to be sad or unhappy or to have to resort maybe to crying or whatever that is violence. So there are different forms of violence, but the violence that women face across the world is notable, it's noticeable, and it is when we take affirmative actions to make sure that we go around it, that is when we can have a better world. And for us here in Ghana, people don't report. And that's one other thing that we need to face because, and it's a societal thing. It's people, I mean, if you go to report, somebody's going to come to tell you that you are not supportive of your husband, it is disrespectful, it is this or that. But then, it makes things difficult for even the government to be able to respond to it appropriately.
The issue of reporting, so many things come to play. You know, Nii has talked about the fact that people put pressure on you, but then the stigma too, that it becomes your name. We in Ghana, I mean, and I think it's an African thing. Oh, that is the woman whose husband beats, her. Oh, that's the woman who was raped. That's the woman. It becomes a name attached to you. Oh, that's the girl whose mother was. And so sometimes they say family name and then they protect it. And sometimes the justice system too can abuse you. So you think about it and you're like, okay, I just want to set mine somewhere, as we say, and be quiet about that.
In my own corner.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, the Bible talks about whatever you focus on enhances.
Right.
And whatever you do not give too much attention to diminishes somehow. I think at times we don't do very good service to good men. What about praising those who are doing good? And let society see how such people are supporting society positively. And then let's see how to help these people to be like this. So what is the norm that we want in society? That is what I think we need to start celebrating.
Sometimes the norm is what is staring you at the face.
Yes.
Which is a negative.
That is true. But you cannot fight negative with negative. We have to try and continue to look at the positive and see how it enhances. Because whatever we really focus on will enhance. You know, let's make role models of those who are doing good so that we can then have the moral authority to chastise those who are not doing good. Because society admits that, yes, women should be beaten. That's the norm. How can we change that norm? Because we've been trying to be reactive, and it's not helping. How can we be proactive and still do the reactionary things?
And you think by showcasing and praising men who are doing the positive thing will rather help to fight it, instead of maybe we focusing on educating society and empowering women to know that this is unacceptable. So do not accept it. Don't tolerate it. Report it when it is done.
It shouldn't be this or that. It should be this and that.
Okay.
It should be both of them. Because, for instance, if you have somebody who abuses the family and they're watching the standpoint, and you have a family who is doing the right things, and this person is watching, you know, somehow, I'm sure with time, we will begin to change the narrative. So we have to look at it both ways. Celebrate good men like Nii. When we came in, he called his daddy to say, he called his dad to say happy birthday to the dad.
That's nice.
You know, just when we walked in. And now that's fine. You know,
because his dad is a good man.
Exactly. You know? So we have to celebrate people like him, like you, and all the good men, so that the bad ones will know that, well, probably we have to change our ways.
Yeah, my dad is actually 93 today.
You're kidding.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's one gender champion that I know. From since we were little, there were no differences between the boys and the girls.
Right.
Everybody does everything. We cook, the boys, the girls, we share household duties the same way. Yeah. And for me, I learned that quite early in life and it made me realize that we are equal, and that everybody should have a piece of everything. And the experiences that I got from that type of discipline has been with me all through life, and it has actually helped me a lot. Now, coming back again to the issue of this, you see, when people tend to be more at home, like we have seen, there are certain things that we've noticed in the society, credible information from research and analysis that rape takes place in the house. Not just between the husband and wife.
No.
There are other people, there are other girls that have been raped in the house that we don't know. there is incest also.
Yes.
Then even between the husband and the wife, even though this is debatable in some places, some people think that the husband cannot rape the wife.
Yeah, Ghana
or
is
something.
still debating it. Anyway.
Yeah, so maybe we don't want to go into that.
Can't make the head and tail of it.
So in intimate partner violence, either by virtue of rape or physical beating or what have you, those are also other issues that we need to look after. Right. And also domestic violence in terms of even the parents to the children. And that is physical violence. There are also some other types of violence, so to say, that is visited on maybe the children or the other members of the household, which we need to look at. And you want to say, what should we do to counter this? The number one thing is information.
Yes, information. Before you get in, I know you work with, UNFPA works, does a lot of work with DOFSU.
Yes.
Do you have any update on how Ghana's situation has been during the lockdown period? Have we had increase in cases of domestic abuse?
You know, this started the entire thing of COVID. Right. You prefer COVID instead of Corona.
Yeah.
We agree.
COVID started just about 2 months ago.
Right.
So if we're going to come up with figures of what we have seen, we need to give it some time in order to be able to analyze and make sure that it is realistic. Right. Unlike in situations, in settings, in Western settings where they can quickly pick up their figures and shoot it out like that, I think we should allow the Ghana Police Force, the DOFSU, we should give them some time to take those figures, analyze them, and so they can come out with what they think the situation is in real time. So we have not got into that, and we don't want to push them to say, okay, how many people called your hotline today, or how many people? But they have a system with which they get the figures.
Because during that period, I had information. I had called those who were calling me to complain about what they're going through, and I directed them go to DOFSU, and they said no, but there's a lockdown, so DOFSU is not working. So I called the national coordinator and told her that's why I got to know that they needed face masks, and I mobilized some local designers to go and donate face masks to them, because people were of the view that maybe the police stations were not working, DOFSU was not working, and so it's like people didn't know where to go. Yeah.
And that was why we worked with them to reintroduce the DOFSU hotline.
Yes.
It's 055 1900.
055
1900.
We'll put it on the screen.
Yes. Yeah. And the idea is that if it doesn't even have to be you. Right. If you notice anybody or anything that tends towards domestic violence in any way, just pick up your phone or find a phone to call. You can even send a text message or send a WhatsApp message to say this is what is happening where. And DOFSU will intervene. They will find a way of reaching them, either to stop it or to bring the offenders to book. And I think that has helped in so many ways. Okay. There's another thing that we have also done. We have also partnered with the different agencies of government to see how we can have the shelters working so that if a situation arises whereby a woman needs to leave the home, to have somewhere to go to as of the immediate before the matter is settled. We've also tried to work on that, and there are other ways in which we have reached out, to people generally to try to bring that down. And I think we've succeeded largely concerning the issue of COVID-19, but then we need to do a lot more.
A lot more, because some of us who also work behind this in civil society, what we were worried about was that in the past, when there's a case like that, maybe you can go to your sister, you can go to your friend, but these days we are not receiving friends in our homes. We are not receiving family to come visit, because everybody, when it comes to COVID, everybody is a suspect and nobody is a suspect. It can be familiarization, can cause, so you don't know where to go. And so people are staying and enduring. Already, some women stay in abusive environment because they have nowhere to go. And COVID had made it worse.
And that's the impact of COVID.
Exactly. Yeah.
We look at COVID from the standpoint of 29 people have died. You really cannot tell how many people have died as a result of domestic violence induced by the stay-at-home order as a result of COVID-19. So there are several parts to it which we really need to look at, yes.
Right.
But there is another dimension that I want us to look at, which is the vulnerable of the society.
Let me take a break and we come
Okay.
to the vulnerable because that's also another main topic can take a whole program on its own.
Yeah.
But well, again, let me say thank you to GTP for sponsoring the Standpoint. My cloth is by GTP. This is Adepa. Yeah, Adepa comes in 12 years and they have the Adepa Dumas which comes in 6 years. This is Adepa. It comes in 12 years and my dress was made for me by Brie Redua. Thank you to Maybelline New York for the makeup products and my makeup was our makeup. I'm surprised they should have given you lipstick. Naxa Beauty Studio. Thank you to Exotic Trades for fixing my hair. We take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the vulnerable in society. And when it comes to the vulnerable in society, again, the gender issue. In the vulnerable, we're talking about the poor, people with disability, people with also, we'll be back. Welcome back to the Standpoint. The gender phase of COVID-19, her brother than I actually was thinking about. So, so many angles to it. But let me say thank you to our supporters. Juice Time, House of Foods, Go-Got Yogurt, Casapreco Royal Drinks, and Awake Purified Mineral Water, Yep Cleaning Services, Go-Got Yogurt, and of course, Green Essentials for giving us the sanitizer. I told you, it's very easy. You see, to spray. It's very. What I do is, as soon as I get home, I make sure I spray myself from head to toe. Spray including my shoes and my feet before I enter. Just get down. Undress, go straight to the bathroom before the little one sees me. It's a hassle. Now we're talking about the vulnerable in society, yes. And the children too are there.
Yes, the vulnerables of the society, let me just pick two sets. The people with disability, they are particularly vulnerable because they are not able to either move or they can't speak or they can't express themselves in one way or the other. That, the implication of COVID-19 on their lives cannot be overemphasized. I will talk about it. But there is also a particular group that I'm actually passionate about, the KIAs.
Yeah.
They are the vulnerables among the vulnerables.
Yeah.
Because when you put together a set of vulnerable people, those ones among them are particularly vulnerable because they lack one basic thing, shelter. And as a result, yes, and as a result of that vulnerability, they are prone to so many things. To rape, sexual and gender-based violence, sexually transmitted infections, unintended pregnancies, and so many other things. And that's why you see some of them, their children having children. And so there are a set of vulnerable people in the society when you talk about COVID-19. Why? Because of COVID, movements are reduced. Even visits to markets and what have you have reduced. And that means their businesses are reduced.
Yes.
And that means they don't have as much income as they used to have. And that makes them more vulnerable because by virtue of the poverty that attends it, one guy just comes around, offers them 1 CD or 2 CD or a plate of food or what have you, takes them away to do what they really don't want to do. And then there are implications that can come out of it that are actually life-changing. And so that's why for us in UNFPA, for example, we have several projects targeting the KIAs, but we just started a new one in which we started 2 weeks ago. We intend to take a group of KIA for 6 months. We're going to give them food. We're going to give them dignity kits every month, whatever they need, the basic things that they need to maintain their dignity for the month. Food, the items, the essential items. We actually intend also to enroll them for health insurance. Yes, so that they can have access to health. Access to health is very, very important. It's one of the issues of social protection flaw that we need to actually look after so that they can access health. By that also, they will be able to have access to probably family planning, reproductive health, information and services that will prevent them from having unintended or unwanted pregnancies, which actually makes their lives more complex. So we intend to take them through this for about 6 months. And during that time also to provide some form of mentorship for them so that we can see the possibility of transiting them from being carriers to entrepreneurs. Even to provide them some form of small training that can help them to start up something and they can see an alternative to what they are doing and therefore to reduce their vulnerabilities and see if we can make society better. And if we do that, if government now decides to take it to scale, we will see that we'll be making a lot of difference in the society.
There's a positive side to COVID, isn't it?
Well, there is a positive side to COVID. I think COVID is telling us that there are some occupations that are not COVID compliant.
Exactly.
And so we have to, as a nation, as a continent, identify the employments that are not COVID compliant and add them to our sustainable development goals and agree that by the year 2030, that there should be no carrier in any country because it is not COVID compliant. I mean, I think it's as simple as that. We have to look at the long-term development of our human capital. Look at what happened when we had to lock down. Look at the pathetic sight.
I'm glad that UNFPA is doing this, but there have been efforts by various governments to try and give some skill training, and sometimes they keep going back there because sometimes people want the quickest money. Because it will take some time for them to learn that the 6 months that you are going to, it's a good thing, okay, you are going to give them food, you are going to give them shelter, you are going to give them something. But then sometimes they're still on the street and they don't feel that, I mean, there's somebody back home waiting for money, them to send money.
Well, I totally agree with you, but I think that as a nation, we should really come out with what we want as a nation. You know, what quality of life can we, agree on minimally for a Ghanaian? Even in the lands, you can go and put a kiosk in those gated communities. Even for a land, when you are buying the land, they tell you that this land you need to put this type of building on.
But this time they are still doing it. We have kiosks all over.
Exactly, because we have allowed it. I mean, we should. Yes, we have allowed it. You know. As for human beings, whatever you allow us to, we will do it. There's a country which has a law that if you want to build, you are given a permit for 2 years. Your permit expires after 2 years. I've been building for 20 years now, and I'm still building because the country allows it. You understand? But the permit is for 2 years. So if you're in such a country which gives you a permit for 2 years, you cannot go and put a 10-house foundation if you can only afford a 2-bedroom. So it keeps you in check. So we should have the quality of life that we want Ghanaians to have and make sure that we all somehow are boxed into it. Because we have to be boxed into decency somehow.
By the way, let's not forget the fact that concerning COVID-19, the government of Ghana has been acknowledged across the world as one of the governments that has handled the situation very well. As a matter of fact, WHO is doing its best to come to study how Ghana is handling this. And I've seen even an article that came out yesterday from Washington Post talking about the fact that the big countries should check, should study, should learn something from the smaller countries. So that means that there is something that government is doing right. But I would suggest that government should please go further to look at the gendered implications of COVID-19 and let us try as much as to see what policies we can put in place that will make all the responses to be very gender sensitive and also to look after the vulnerabilities of women generally.
And UNFPA, you are a partner when it comes to gender activism in this country. So how are you going to support the other, I know you're doing a great job with DOVSU, you know, but the other civil society organizations, I mean, working with women and women's groups, how can we partner to push this agenda to let government focus, turn its attention a bit more on the gender aspect of it? Because so far, as Dr. said, it's been a general. We've had a general approach to everything.
Yes. You know, we're working with, for example, we work with National Population Council, also the Ministry of Gender in different ways. You know, that ministry is one of the biggest ministries in the country. Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection. And that's a huge,
everybody
in terms of everything. So they are doing a lot. We're working together with them to see, but we'll take it one by one. And for civil society organizations also, there's a need for a lot of advocacy with government, because when government sets the tone, people will be able to do a lot much more. So while working with the Ministry of Gender, while working with DOPSU, while working with every other actor in the place, we provide some sort of support in terms of, we call it rather partnership. At the same time, we seize the opportunity to advocate for more resources, for paying more attention to what needs to be done in terms of gender issues.
Yes. In conclusion, the way forward.
Well, the way forward, Oheniri, everything we do, pandemic consequences are never neutral. The age of people, the sex of people, the occupations of people, disability that people have play. And so if we really want to meet everybody's need, then the data should be prioritized in those segments. You spoke about people with disability. They do the sign language. So how are they going to mask?
Yeah.
They still talk, they still breathe. How are they going to mask? How are we making sure that they have that? I know that the ministry, where Honorable Alan Chemantin is, they're coming out with shields for
trade and industry?
Yes, trade and industry for those with disability.
So in recent time, I think so during the press conferences, those who do the sign were the one with
you see, so it shows that we are being sensitive to the needs of people, and we cannot ignore the other needs of women, because what will happen is that now we're talking about social distancing, which is physical distancing, but those who are empowered and endowed can still call you. You are in isolation, but you are still having calls. What about those who physical distance means social distancing? That is a big challenge that we really should look at.
The way forward. So now we know. Now we know, we've been told that we have to learn to live with it. If we're going to live with it, the way forward for the gender agenda.
I would say focusing. Of course, generally we talk about women, but honestly, let's focus on the adolescent girl. We focus on the adolescent girl, provide them with appropriate information, education. Because, for example, menstruation does not know that there is a pandemic. It will come. So it is what we want to see. We've been told that the pandemic or COVID-19 will be with us for a while. Let us begin to look at it much more beyond just the short term to the medium term and then the long term to look at, okay, what do we need to do? What are the investments that we need to put in place today so that in X number of years we'll be completely rid of it? So that's why I believe that if we focus on the adolescent girl, give them the right information, the right communication, the right education today, in a couple of years' time, we'll be able to look at this and say it's part of our history.
So by July, I'm sure we would have some statistics and figures to work with. You know, we'll by then know how many women are getting infected, how many children, and all that. But by then, hopefully, we would have found, you know, a solution to this, a medication that we know is working, and the numbers are reducing drastically, so we can live. But thank you very much, Doc. I know it was last minute.
Well, the numbers are reducing, but then what we also have to be appreciative of that, the recoveries are also increasing.
Which is good.
We're having cases, but then the recoveries are increasing.
Good. Yes.
So it's positive.
All right. Thank you very much for coming to educate us and empower us as well. As always, thank you. Finally, I got you on the standpoint. Praise the Lord, somebody.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we have to do this again. Well, I'll be back with a bit of me. You see, no matter how hard you try to massage it, most negative situations have a more devastating effect on women in society. It's simply because of the makeup of our society. Our society burdens women so much and have socialized and indoctrinated women to believe that everything has to be their fault. They have to be at the center of fixing every situation. And so we take on so much and do very little for ourselves. COVID-19 is no different. Of course, it's pushed out the ingenuity and the entrepreneurship and the qualities of most women. You know, I mean, the things we are coming out with to do, you know, the way we are diversifying and so on and so forth. But it is also having a toll on women. Most women will not go to report when they are coughing, when they will try to find something to suppress it because they are afraid to leave home. You won't believe it. Some women will even be told that the 2 weeks that you're going to be in isolation or you're going to be quarantined, what will your husband do? Really? What will he do? What about you, your health? Listen to me, women. We are not in normal situations. We are not in very good times. And this is the time we need to take our health and our destinies into our own hands, to stand to look out for ourselves, and then we can look out for our families. Because if you are not healthy, if you are not keeping yourself safe, how do you protect your young ones? If you go out there and you are not well protected, all because you need to cater for the family and you go and get infected, you come home and the same family you want to protect and provide for, you come and infect them. And the cycle continues. So this is the time, if we haven't done it, for us to wise up and to empower ourselves and to make sure that when the men go out there and they don't come touching the children and the family and whoever it is without taking good care of themselves, without going to have a shower, without having to sanitize. Let them not go out without having to cover up. And you yourself, make sure that you are conscious of your health and observing all the protocols, even as you go back and forth. God has got us covered. Yes, even in religion, it's women who are championing it. We are the forefront. But then, if we should read the Bible, if we should read the Quran, that we know that God has given us wisdom. Let's apply it. Let's take care of ourselves. Then we can take care of our loved ones. Then we can provide and protect our loved ones. A healthy mind in a healthy body, a healthy soul. It all comes together to make you. You are the life giver, the life saver. Do what is right. Empower yourself. Take care of yourself. Thanks for watching. See you same time next week. Bye for now.